Welcome, everyone, back to the School of Greatness podcast. Very excited about our guest. His name is Taye Diggs. What's up, my man?
How you feeling, sir?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well.
Appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate being here.
Just came out from the gym.
I did. A little sweaty.
It's all good, man. We're going to get messy. We were just jamming on how we both play basketball. You haven't played in a couple of years.
I haven't.
But we're going to go out there and jam sometime soon.
We are. You're going to be my excuse to get back out there.
There you go. I'll be your big man. You can be my point guard.
All right. Or something like
Throw
that.
It down. Exactly. And now I'm excited about this. We got connected. Well, first off, by my friend Barbara Fiorentino said that she was friends with you a few years ago. And I was like, I'd love to have this guy on someday.
Yeah, she's great.
And then I ran into you at Tender Greens. And I was like,
I had a hat on.
Yeah, you had a hat on. I was like, maybe I'll go say hi to him. But I was like, I'd like to have an introduction, When I'm trying to do an interview, it's like,
oh, right.
Maybe I should just ask Barbara, like, hey, will you make an introduction? As opposed to me coming up to you and be like, hey, will you come on my show when you don't know who I am?
But you commented on my hat.
I was just like, hey, man, you got a great hat.
You got a great hat, yes. And then that was it.
And then the next day or 2 days ago, I see you at Soho House. And I was like, all right, this is a sign.
Yeah.
And you were chilling. You weren't with anyone. So I was like, let me go say hey, that I know Barbara.
Right.
And would you?
I was waiting for somebody.
You were waiting for someone, but you weren't.
Don't make people think that I'm just by myself.
Right.
At Soho House
you were
in
waiting.
the lobby.
You were
I'm
waiting.
a member.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got things.
I hear you. But you weren't in a conversation, so I didn't have to interrupt anything.
No. I get your style, though. Absolutely.
And I was like, all right, let me see,
it worked out.
Feel it out. And I was like, we should have you come on. And you were like, absolutely, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we made it happen.
We're here.
We are here in the studio, the Greatness Studio.
Yes,
so.
#greatness. I really dig what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
I really do.
Thank you.
To be out here, and no offense to LA, but to be out here in LA and dedicating, your time and energy to other people and kind of bettering, where we are is really great to witness.
I appreciate it, man.
Good stuff, man. Yeah.
Now, for those that don't know who you are are an actor, and you're among many things, and a writer as well. You've got a couple kids' books we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have everything linked up here on the show notes so people can check these things out. But
Excellent.
you started in the kind of the Broadway theater scene, and then movie and TV, and you've done all types of acting.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate.
You've done many movies, many TV shows.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Been lucky.
It's been amazing. And
it has been.
I have something in common with you in that sense.
What?
I did my senior year. I did the High School Musical at my school.
You did?
I was like, you know what? My whole family is very musically gifted.
Really?
My brother's the #1 jazz violinist in the world.
He is?
Yes. My sister's.
Who's your brother?
His name's Christian Howes. And he played in New York City a lot. He played with Les Paul in Times Square at the radio all the time. And he travels all over the world. And
well, you're just getting more and more intriguing every second.
But I didn't have those skills as growing up.
Right.
My parents were opera singers at Ohio State, and that's where they met.
Wow.
So I was the youngest of 4, and they put all my family into music except for me. So I was
They
a sports
didn't
guy.
put you in?
They tried to, but I was like kicking and screaming like in the piano lessons.
Okay.
I was like, get me out of this.
Right. So maybe you had the talent,
Maybe
but
I
you
did.
didn't.
Now I play guitar because I was like, I feel like I had to learn something.
Yeah.
So I can play like campfire songs,
That'll work.
And,
especially with the females.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I was like, my senior year, I was like, I have to do something in the musical. I have to get out of my comfort zone. And so I auditioned for the lead. And I'd never done any acting, any lines.
Crazy.
I was terrified. But I was like, I'm going to put myself out there. And it was called 7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
Sure.
You know that one?
Uh-huh.
And I got the second, the oldest brother, not the main brother, but the oldest brother.
Like and that's not too shabby.
Yeah, it was cool. I had a few lines and dance, and it was an incredible experience.
Good for you.
And I was like, I wish I would have done this my freshman year.
I bet. Well, you would have turned out to be a completely different person.
It's incredible being on the theater in a live performance.
It can be, yeah.
And you just finished up a show.
In New York?
Yeah,
Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Yeah,
I saw some previews for that, and it looks incredible.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. That was the hands down, bar none, the most challenging project I've ever had to, I've ever been blessed, enough to kind of take on. So it's a life changer.
And it's a one-man show essentially, right?
Basically, I mean, there's a wonderful band,
right,
on stage, and then there's the character that plays my love interest.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of the piece is me. Yeah, is Hedwig.
Have you ever done a one-man show before that?
No, and I had I balked at the idea, but once again, as you said, I wanted to step out of my my comfort zone. And I had seen the show many, many times prior, and I was a fan. And I thought, whoever this is some real stuff. Let me try and see if I can do it.
Yeah.
And I got through it. So
you did it.
Yeah.
You made it out okay.
Yeah, and that's usually not my game. I'm pretty laid back. I kind of know, where my comfort zone is and what my strengths are. And I've always been that cat that's just been cool, just gliding along. You know what I mean? I like to feel comfortable.
You've got the roles that you kind of play.
Yeah, kind of handsome black dude, best friend.
Sure.
But then the older you get, the more ambitious. Hopefully, you get. And I wanted to really kind of wring life out and get the best, be the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's the biggest lesson you learned in that experience?
Oh my goodness, so many. Well, to keep stepping outside your comfort zone. Yeah. That it's that life is more than comfort.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Do you feel like you grew the most? And what was it, a 12-week run? Is that what it was, or
about a couple of months? What is that? Yeah, something like
weeks,
that.
something.
Yeah. Ridiculously. Yeah. But I also realized that it's like a muscle. When I was in the middle of that run, I felt so powerful, and then I thought, all right, this is going to change my life forever. I'm never going to be scared. I'm never going to not want to kind of press the boundaries.
Yeah.
But you have to keep yourself in that state, or your body forgets it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I gotta start looking for something else now, because I can feel the fear.
Really?
And the complacency kind of, especially in LA. You know what I mean? If you're lucky to have a little bit of success and a nice little ride, a nice pad, fun friends, it's easy to just chill and be fine with that, and just kind of take things that come your way. But I gotta keep that machine working, and keep looking, and keep finding, and keep thinking of other people, others, besides myself, just to keep striving. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Who's the most inspiring actor in the world right now for you? Like the man or the woman or the child who's like, wow, they are just fearless. They are just so courageous, or they're connected, or whatever it is. Who inspires you?
Well, my son, he's not an actor, but my son is all of those things. He's my biggest inspiration. And then after that would probably be my mother. But then acting-wise, actors that, Denzel, he'll just always,
Guy's a mutant.
What can you say? What can you say? He's all of it.
Do you feel like he actually takes risks, though? He kind of has the same role every time, it seems like, right?
I mean, I'm such a fan that I can see the differences, in each role. And, each as an actor, people always say you kind of get cast as yourself.
Right.
But then the characters are different, and the risks that character takes, they're different as well. So I can see how somebody would feel that a performance is different, even though it may look kind of similar. Because he's a leading man, so obviously he's going to get those roles. But it's just amazing, watching him, push the limits, in his work.
Yeah.
And I get the game. As an actor, you do a couple of movies that are commercial, and then you do a couple that stretch you out a bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's done that. He's done it enough for me. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, he's incredible.
Yeah, man. What else? Who else is out there? Oh man, I'm so old. I'm forgetting these. Young man, the Jackie Robinson now. I think he's Black Panther.
Yeah, I'm not sure his name, but
yeah.
I'd see the face.
Yeah. And the hit me. What's the singer? 1, 2, 3. James Brown. He played James Brown. Not Bokeem. Awful. I'm old.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll link it up.
Please give him big ups.
Yeah.
He's doing really well these days. Yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot of talent out there.
Sure.
It's very easy to get inspired.
Yeah. What was the big dream for you growing up? Was it always to be an actor, or did you have some other dream?
You know what? I got a best friend My cousin Shane Evans, he's the illustrator of all the books that I do. He grew up with me, and just recently he reminded me, because now I'm at the age where, we're all doing pretty well, and we're just wondering what we were like when we were younger, and if we had the foresight. And he told me when I was in high school that I would walk around telling everybody, I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be famous. And I was a little embarrassed because I thought, I thought I had a little bit more. I thought it would have been a little bit more sophisticated in my description. But at that time, I guess that's what it was. I enjoyed at the time singing and acting and dancing. So maybe I didn't know, which medium was going to take me there. But apparently, I had the drive, and for whatever reason, the gods looked down on me, and I'm doing all right.
Yeah, that's cool. If you could only, if the God said, okay, you only have one choice, sing, dance, or act for the rest of your career.
Oh man. Well,
and you couldn't do any of the other two. You could only do one.
Oh man.
What's
well,
one?
I mean, if God's looking down on me, if he would keep my body in shape, it would then be dance.
Wow.
Yeah,
really?
I get the most joy from that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but then acting is the most sensible.
Yeah.
And if it's comedy, it's just fun. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
What
type of dance do you like to do?
Man, I mean, I started out kind of modern, contemporary. It's fun to move your body parts around with hip hop and whatnot. But I had a dance company for a while, and
wow.
I was really kind of into the modern dance scene for a bit. And I still choreograph. Would love
really?
to. Yeah.
That's
would
cool.
love to choreograph more. Move up to Broadway and other modern dance troupes. But it's I've always been a very physical person, and I've always had a special relationship with music. So we would have Saturday dance parties in my house where the record would skip because everybody was jumping. Yeah.
Back in New York, or
this was in upstate New York, Rochester, where I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah. My mother was at the helm. Yeah. So it's just it's always been in me. It's tough getting older though, because
the knees, the back.
Yeah, man.
I feel it, man. When I'm playing sports, I'm like,
it's
you
tough.
gotta warm up a little bit longer. You gotta stretch.
Totally.
You can't just get out there and start dancing or
no
playing ball. You gotta warm up.
You really do, and warm down. You know what I mean?
Stretch. Yeah.
10 years ago, 6 years, when I was playing ball steady, I just remember sitting on the couch and just aching every day. But then going back the next day and playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, this getting older thing is kind of full for the birds.
I hear you.
But other than that,
I hear you. Well, you look young, so.
Hey, yeah, I'm thankful for that. I will. I'll take it.
Who was? It sounds like your mom was a pretty big influence for you growing up. Was she
Yeah.
the most influential person growing up for you?
She was. I have 4 brothers and sisters.
You're the oldest, correct?
I'm the oldest. Yeah. And she, was in a kind of an abusive relationship, and then, raised us. Then went back to school, and now is teaching theater and acting still. Almost through getting her doctorate. So she's something else. And at the same time, always told us that we would be successful. Was always unbelievable. Just so loving and so supportive. While I was in college and acting school, I would hear from other students and hear about their struggles and parents not being supportive or having to pay for college themselves because the parents, wouldn't do so. And none of that, was there for me. That my parents, my stepfather and my mother were, they led us to believe that we could, accomplish anything we wanted. Like we didn't come from money, but when it came to college, I just knew that I was gonna go. I didn't know how, but there wasn't that question. And so many young people today don't have that available to them, even the option. They don't even realize that it's something that they can do.
Yeah.
So
Did you get a scholarship, or how did that work out?
yeah, scholarship, and then my mother was really, really slick with it, with financial aid and figuring out where
Grants
she could
and
get exactly
everything, just like
really,
applying
really
for everything.
totally,
I get that.
totally for me. So she was really, each, and I was a cat where each semester, I'd get those butterflies where I wouldn't know if all the money was coming in, and sitting in the bursar's office, and that smell and the wallpaper and all the other poor kids, you know what I mean?
I hear you.
I hated it.
I hear you, man.
But I got through all 4 years, and then so that I'm lucky enough to kind of help her out. She's always wanted to live in the city. She's in the city.
In New York.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So there are times, when I get on my high horse and I'm like, my mom's, she's still young. Why do I got to pay for this and that? But then when I think of everything, it's cliche, but everything she sacrificed, and
Right.
she is why I am who I am today, from why I perform to just the confidence to I'd like to think I'm a very kind person.
Yeah.
She's so unbelievably kind-hearted, and funny. She's a funny, crazy ass lady. Now that I'm an adult, she's crazy.
Really.
And it's really fun to just be around.
What's the quality you love about your mom the most?
Her kindness and her sense of non-judgmental when it comes to me. I could tell her that I just smoked crack and killed 8 people, and I would have no problem.
She still love you.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about shaming her, which is tough, and I would love to. I want to raise my son like that, where he can just feel like he could, no matter what, tell me whatever without me judging him. I would love that, and her sense of humor. She's if I can make her laugh, when she makes me laugh, it's for real.
That's cool.
So,
cool.
Yeah, she's all right.
When was the moment that you were like, wow, this was like the big moment? Was it a Broadway show? Was it a TV show, a movie where you're like, oh, this is like the moment where I've kind of gone from amateur ranks to now like, oh, this is the big leagues?
Yeah.
What was that opportunity?
Doing this podcast. Do you know what I mean?
A thing called The School of Greatness?
Yeah, man. I was like, I made it now. But little things like this help. You know what I mean?
But when you were like in your 20s and,
That's How Stella Got Her Groove Back. My first.
That was it?
Yeah, my first movie. It went down the way I had imagined it.
Really?
Yeah, and even today, I think, I don't know who the hell I thought I was. I want to go back and talk to that dude because he was just so confident. I was actually impatient. I was in my mid-20s. I had
doing Broadway, but
yeah, and I was like, I need to have been in a movie yesterday.
Wow.
Like, I really had that attitude. I remember I got Carousel, a show in the ensemble, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. I was in the ensemble and I had fun, and then I went away to Japan and made a little bit of money. Then I came back and got Rent. And I was a role, but it was one of the smaller roles.
It was the lead.
No, nowhere near the lead.
But original cast, right?
Original cast, and all that was cool. But deep down inside, I was like, this isn't my jam yet.
You're not on the front center.
This isn't how I imagined it.
Yeah.
And I was one of the last ones to pop from Rent. And there was a little time in there where I kind of questioned. What do you mean by
that? Like others were getting major roles, and
we were the shit. Like it was the major show of its time.
Right. Everyone was going. It was like the Hamilton of the time.
100%.
It was like
we
you
were
have
that.
to go to Rent.
Yes, I have friends in Hamilton, and they have they were dealing with what percentage they should get, and it's unprecedented how successful the show was, and that was us back in nowhere near what Hamilton is, obviously, but that was us back then.
Kind of had that vibe, yeah.
100%. It was a style of music theater that people weren't really used to, and the success was ridiculous. So yeah, we were that. We were them for our time. And I was the last one to. Everybody was getting record deals and studio deals, TV shows, films, and I wasn't getting. I got a couple of screen tests, and I got a soap opera. I was on Guiding Light for a little bit, but then finally, when it was around, I had been in the show about 2 years. then I got How Stella Got Her Groove Back, and
Wow.
then I was off to the races.
Wow. What opportunities came from you after that? It was just movie after movie, and
It was I was awarded, you know, the card of working actor in film and TV. You know, I had to audition, but there were always offers. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? There was always a job
something.
there that I didn't necessarily have to read for.
You weren't the struggling actor anymore. You were the working
No,
actor.
yeah. Then it was just a matter of, well, what kind of roles do I want to do now? And that's still, you know, the, you know, I'm still chasing that. And at what point, you know, do you compromise money and
For
you know what I mean?
integrity for
yeah, exactly.
the
You know,
art.
sure.
Right.
Yeah, when I was younger, I wanted to be Will Smith,
Right.
and have that kind of
I mean,
success.
he's crushed.
Oh my goodness, talk about
He is crushed.
he's a miracle.
Right.
He's
It's
a walking
unbelievable.
miracle. Yeah, I would love to just sit. See, if I have a podcast, I want him to be my guest.
I'm working on trying to get
Yeah,
him on there
do
too.
it,
Yeah.
man. Do it, and let me be
You
present.
come here too. Yeah, you could ask the
Crazy.
questions.
I'll sit in the corner eating a graham cracker. But then, you know, once I got older and had a kid, you know, I don't want to be all around I'm fine with just a cool television gig, you know, where I'm happy, and then you know, other elements of the business, you know, with this reading children's books and you know, just trying to help people and you know, put good vibes out there in the world. I'm trying to kind of monetize that as well. So we'll see.
What's the most challenging part of the business for you? Is it switching from
Ego.
Ooh,
Ego.
tell me
you
more
know?
about that.
Well, you know, this is an industry where it's based on, you know, ego and you
Who's
know,
hot or
who's
who's-
hot,
yeah.
who's not. You know, the last project, you know, you're in here in LA. It's always what you drive and where you live and who's on your arm and
Where you work out?
where you work out. Sure, all of that. No, seriously.
Yeah.
So, you know, on the path that I've kind of chosen, you know, it's been interesting living in this atmosphere that is so you're kind of inundated with that vibe, but then trying to see through it and honor yourself and do what's good for you, what's healthy for you and your family. A son helps.
Yeah.
Kids help.
Keeps you grounded.
It
probably,
keeps you grounded and humble because they don't really care
huh? Who you are.
how cute you look. You know
what
I
roles you
mean?
got or whatever.
You know what I mean? You can have really fresh Jordans and a nice ride, but if they have
If you're not feeding them,
if they
give
have
them
a
ice cream.
fit in the middle of Whole Foods, they don't really give a fuck. So
Exactly.
so that's cool. So they help, but you know, I'll be in the movie theater and I'll be looking at the next Anthony oh, he's another one too, really good. Anthony Mackie film, and I'll have that little twinge of, oh, should I be on this poster? And are people thinking I'm not relevant because I'm on a TV show? And but then I have to tell myself I'm happy, you know, and would I be happy being the next, you know, Black Spider-Man or whatever? Maybe, but that's months away from the kid and
Yeah.
my bones, my knees. I don't know if I can do all those stunts.
Right.
You know, it's a young man's game. So,
Wow.
and you know, it's tough to do all that and then try to give back. Do you know what I mean? For me.
Yeah.
So you know, that's probably the struggle because there's still that young Taye Diggs, that fighter, you know, the flame, you know, in my eye that still wants to, you know, I still want to get an Oscar. I still, you know, love the publicity and whatnot. So I guess that's probably the biggest challenge, is keeping myself grounded, realizing what is real.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you let that stuff take you over,
The hype.
it will take you over,
Yeah.
and I don't want to.
And it's unfulfilling probably after.
Yeah, man. Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, my son, he fulfills me. Do you know what I mean? You know, reading, it sounds so corny, but you know, being the lead of a movie is great, but you know, when you read to children and you're affecting lives like that, you know, that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, kids, like if I had written, Where the Wild Things Are. Do you know what I mean?
It's a legacy right there.
You know what I mean? That doesn't go away. People will forget if I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No matter how much the opening weekend is, people forget real quick, too quick.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Especially if you haven't done anything in 2-3 years.
Do you know what I mean? And it's really not fair.
Yeah.
It's really not fair, especially as an African American actor. People are making history, and it's just getting overlooked. Do you know what I mean? So I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
What's the biggest fear for you moving forward in life and your career?
Oh, it's just my son's health. When you have a child, it's the most vulnerable thing. It's crazy. So I just try to put that out of my head and just stay positive, because if I think about what my life would be without him, or if something awful happened to him, I don't even know.
Right.
So that's an easy question to answer. Yeah.
Because you really don't have control for something like with a child.
I mean, I'm choosing to believe I do.
Sure. Right.
I'm willing it so, but at the end of the day, So I just try to stay positive and keep him in my prayers.
I hear you.
Yeah.
You're around a lot of actors all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like self-love is something that actors need more of?
100%. I think the world needs more of it.
Yeah.
100%.
What do you think? How do you practice self-love yourself, and how would you give back to people listening who are maybe struggling or trying to figure out, their worth in the world, whether it be in a relationship, career, anything? What's some ways you can practice? What's not building your ego too much, but it's like the fulfilling self-love,
Sure. I think it manifests itself differently in different people. Like for me, with talent, I didn't have an issue because people were always there telling me that I had something. It had to deal with, for me, deserving the pretty girl, or deserving to be in a conversation, So I think at the end of the day, it's tough, man. It's one of the hardest. I think it could be one of the hardest things to do, which is just convince yourself that you are worth it, just who you are, not comparing yourself or putting yourself in a context. Because it's so easy to say, am I as intelligent as this person? And then looking at what you have, to offer in terms of intelligence, because it's not about that, because that can easily be taken away, or you cannot have it. So you have to find who you are as a person, regardless of everything else and everyone else around you, and just be cool with that. And let that power you, so that no matter how great, how handsome, how talented, no matter how whatever it is you are, you consider yourself more than enough.
Yeah.
And in this world that's based on all of that other shit, it's really tough to do, because we're here, and the first thing we ask ourselves is, what do I have to offer? What makes me different? What makes me special? So that's where I think the difficulty comes in.
Do you have a practice that you do like every morning to help you get ready for the day, or a ritual or routine?
I'm trying. Yes, I do. It just changes every fucking 3 days. You know what I mean? Because I'm still on that tip of what works.
Yeah.
So if I like meditate for 20 minutes and then I have a great day, for the next week I'll meditate, and then until I have a sucky day, and then I'll try something else.
Sure.
But it's tough to not be result oriented, growing up an actor and dealing with sports, and but for me it's having a practice, and something that kind of forces you to be outside yourself, and realize that there's something more. I think whatever that is, I feel like you're pretty good if you can focus on that.
Yeah.
That being one of the things, and then afterwards, then actually focusing on yourself, so that you can allow yourself to focus more on other people. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough. This cycle of life is the most difficult, just because I'm the most aware, and at the same time, with being split and a divorce and a single father, I have the most. Yeah, I've got a full plate. So every once in a while, I'll feel sorry for myself, just because I just feel like I'm working constantly, trying to be a good person, trying to be a good father, trying to take the high road, trying to be more mindful, trying to be more forgiving. And sometimes I want to say, fuck it. Sometimes I do. I just came from Vegas.
You said it that whole weekend.
And I was pretty unmindful and
Sure.
you know what I mean? But I can't wait till I get to the point where, I don't have to binge, where I can just, it can just be life. And that can just be where I chill out, as opposed to kind of winding it up, and then feeling like I have to unwind, to the point where it's, alcohol and girls and dancing and clubs, and I still got a little bit of that in me.
So you got the young Taye Diggs in you. Yeah.
Because I never, it's so many things. I never got to do that as a young man. I grew up really religious, and then came into success quick, and then got married quick.
Working all the time, just focused.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And then was really judgmental with, oh, these people, you're a bad person if you do this. And slowly I started to open up my eyes and started to experiment with stuff. And, clubs are fun. Drinking can be fun. You know what I mean? Girls can be fun. So, I'm coming off that train now, but every once in a while it's still fun to just go a little crazy.
Sure. What are non-negotiables for you? Like every day that you're like, I have to do this every day no matter what, or I'm going to, maybe it's not meditate, but I'm going to eat a certain way. I'm going to think a certain thing.
It's one of those things. It's either working out. Well, you know what, to be honest, I force myself to think of others and kind of walk a path of trying to love. You know what I mean? As corny as that sounds, trying empathy. You know what I mean? Empathy is what it is. Every day I'm forcing myself to try to see if somebody rubs me the wrong way, if somebody does something, whether it be to me or to someone else, or if someone comes to me and asks some advice, I force myself to try, to say something that will kind of throw a positive spin on something, and not go the negative route.
Yeah.
I feel good about that. I feel good about myself. Yeah, when it comes to that, that's something that I'm pretty diligent in, I think, doing.
There's a lot of young actors and people, writers, people in the entertainment world that I know listen to this. If you could say that there's like the mistakes that a lot of actors make and the things that they do well, what would be like the top 2 or 3 things that you think, if you're a young actor, writer, trying to make it in this world, what should they really be focusing on? What is holding them back that you see?
You know what? I was thinking of writing a book that was kind of grounded in humor, that has to do with well, it was going to be like the actor's handbook to becoming famous, because it's a cliche.
Right.
It's like there's a young person that's got all this talent. Maybe they start out doing plays, then they do a play, they win an award, then they get the card to come to Hollywood. Then they do the whole Hollywood thing, and it really, chews them up. They date a celebrity lady, get married, the drugs, the strip clubs, the this, the that, and then they go to rehab, and then pick this role, and then they get nominated for an Oscar, and then, so part of me thinks that it's pretty, you just need to stay grounded and to keep focused and to kind of not fall prey. Have someone have your back. Do you know what I mean? But then, you don't get, sometimes I think you need to get roughed up. You need experiences so that things mean something. Like all the shit that I've been through it. So now I know.
Yeah.
For a minute, I was living a great life. I thought I was, a good person and kind, but I didn't know shit. You know what I mean? I didn't know what people meant. I didn't know what it was like to struggle to a certain extent. And until I did, the world didn't open up. You need experiences, no matter what. I'm not telling everybody to get addicted to drugs and spend $100,000, at a strip club. But everybody has their own kind of path. So I don't want people to end up killing themselves, but I think it's good that people experience some friction.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean? That they should just be constantly going out, putting themselves out to bigger roles or bigger opportunities and failing essentially, or getting said no to? Or?
I think people should follow their instincts. I truly do. I mean, I could sit here and say, be focused and stay out of trouble. And, I think at a young age, if people can realize that there's something outside of themselves, that there's a greater energy, I don't think you can go wrong there. But, people living their lives and having their own experiences, I think it's it bodes well for them. Mm-hmm. Being selfish, all of that. Thinking of others. You know what I mean? Do you, but think of others and just go for it. Go hard.
Tiff wanted me to ask you a question, and she said, "What was it like to work with?"
I'm not answering Tiffany. I don't know Tiffany. She don't know me.
In private practice, you worked with Shonda Rhimes, right?
Yeah.
And she's a big fan of her. She's reading her book right now.
Oh, are you? Me too.
So she wanted to know.
There's something about yes or something. What is it? The Year of Yes.
Yeah. So she wanted to know, what was it like working with her? It's a big inspiration for her in the entertainment world.
Oh man, well that was when I had my kid when I was on her show. Mm-hmm. That was a time in my life, time and time again, I feel like I've been blessed. And then, the thing about this, being human, being an actor, being in LA, really, really amazing things can happen to you. And then you can forget and then have fear and doubt. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, actors have we have the shortest just memories. Things can be so bad. And then we can say, all I need is this job, and once I get this gig and once I get this card, I'll be fine. Then we get the gig in the car, and we're just complaining about what it's like to be in that car and in that gig.
Really?
We forget. Oh man, I mean, actors are awful. We're awful people.
Okay.
We're so we want shit for free, and
if
the car's not here at the minute and the cable's not, I mean, if I'm not on this magazine color, and dude. And we come from nothing, so it's not, you would think we would be the most appreciative group on the planet, and instead it's the opposite.
You're getting the most attention.
Oh,
you're getting the most recognition.
You know what I mean? On the red carpet, just frowning because somebody else, went before you.
Really?
When you just got dropped off in your limo, or the car doesn't come on time.
You're wearing a $10,000 outfit.
You know what I mean? Totally.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here next to Sandra Bullock. I was supposed to be before her.
Oh my God.
Come on, man. But you get caught up in it.
Yeah.
See, I got caught up in that. What was the question?
Shonda Rhimes. Yeah.
So I was on a gig where I was like, all right, this next thing I wanna shoot a gun. So I was on a show where I was shooting a gun and then doing stunts and being the tough guy, and so that ended. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I would love to be on a show like Grey's Anatomy. Shonda Rhimes. I could just really act and have those amazing monologues and wear a suit, and the next thing I know, she called me in and she's like, there was this new show I'm creating with Kate Walsh, and it's a spinoff, and I was like, this is a dream come true.
Wow.
You really can manifest some stuff. And she was just wonderful.
Wow.
I don't know how I can only assume that everybody else had the experience that I had, but I don't know if it was because I was black or a young man, but I really felt like she was looking out for me.
Wow.
We'd have meetings about the character, and and I could tell that she was very protective of the character I played, and unfortunately, in this time, in this era, when it comes to African American roles, you have to set a precedent, just so you don't have to, but if you want to make a difference, you need to set down some ground rules so that people don't get it twisted. So with that character, you could look at my character as a professional black man, and know, okay, not all black people take drugs, not all black people just fuck, not all black people are irresponsible.
Gangs or whatever.
She didn't make him like he was just a good dude through and through, so that that character was there and you couldn't do anything about it, and that was proof that black people like this exist. And I'm thankful for that. She's a monster, man. She's just killing it.
Right.
And it's just so exciting.
That's
It
cool.
just tickles me. So
Big lesson you learned from her working with her. What was that?
to go for it, somebody, I don't know. She's just did it. She had the audacity, to think that she could do shit, and she's doing it. So
Executive producing like 5 or 10 shows. Or
why
like the
not?
best shows on TV, whatever. Right.
if you would have told me that somebody was gonna do that, I would have laughed in your face
Right.
and said, "Why don't you just chill with one?
Right.
Like, be cool." You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
What makes you think that they're gonna open the door for you? And she was like, "Fuck it, I'm I'm kicking this door down, and I'm going to be really good at it."
Wow.
So
Amazing.
it really is.
That's really cool.
I mean, I knew stuff like this was going to go down, but I didn't think it would happen this fast with, a black president, and then people
Right.
like Shonda Rhimes just, and people have just gone so far beyond, my expectations. My mother used to say, make sure you can do everything better than they can, whoever it is. And all of these people, I think, came from that school where it's like, you be so great that they cannot deny you.
Yeah.
If they want to make money, they have to use you. That's Will Smith. He was like, people were telling him, black people don't have any weight overseas. And then he just started doing #1 July 4th. He was like, fuck you. How about this? Now you can't deny me.
Yeah.
Now you can't deny me.
Amazing.
I'm so good, and I'm going to be so good at what I do that it doesn't matter what you think about my skin tone or who came before me. These are #1 summer hits.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Selling the most
Ugh.
everywhere, worldwide. Yeah.
No excuses. No basketball, sports, or he's a musician. None of that.
Yeah.
None of that. He was just like bona fide movie fucking star, and it's awesome.
That's cool.
Have
Have you got to spend time with him before? No.
Man, I went to a couple of premieres, and he's like a god. He looks at you and you feel blessed. So
He's that much of a legend.
You know what I mean?
He is legend.
Exactly.
I am legend.
And now as little kids, I would like
They're crushing
whatever
it.
they're selling, I'll buy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm taking style points off Jaden.
Right.
It's embarrassing, but it's really
cool.
great to see.
That's cool.
It's a really cool time.
When you prepare for a big moment, whether it be on stage, TV, film, and you're like, okay, this is the scene, this is like the moment or one of the moments of this film that I'm doing or experience, how do you prepare mentally and emotionally for that? Obviously, you've got to do the reps with the memorization, I'm
Right.
assuming,
Right.
which you've been doing for 20, 30 years now,
Right.
since high school. But
Right.
how do you prepare mentally, emotionally, be like, all right, this could be a make or break moment in this. I got to make sure I show up.
Okay. Well, the first thing is I don't think that.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be a make or break moment. I take all the pressure.
Oh, that's good.
For me. Some people, it fuels them. For me, it taps into my anxiety, and so for me, I just got to tell myself, this is what you do. You got this. And this is one thing the last play I did on stage in New York helped me with was I prepare as much as I can, and then I leave space for something that is unplanned, just because that's when some really, really great shit can happen.
The magic.
Yeah, exactly. I used to be the cat that would over prepare, and plan out the joke and, with the physical comedy and make sure I say this in this tone because it's been proven if I say it 8 times, 7 times people are. I used to plan it all out and see it in my head because I had that talent of just knowing, what would work or the comic timing, what plays to what type of audience. And that's a talent unto itself, but it can get stale. And it limits you as an actor. I feel like the really great ones, leave just a little space there, some give. They're a little bit more pliable, and that's when you can let the spirit of a moment take you, and that's when it's something really exciting can happen. So these days, I try to leave some room for that, and it's tough. It's tough because acting is a technique, and there's stuff that actually works, especially in TV and film where you're the redundancy, is that a word?
Sure. I think so.
Yeah, I'll make it a word. You're just saying the same words over and over again. It can be tough, but it's something to constantly work on.
Do you usually prepare like the night before and visualize the scenes you're going to create the next day? Do you prepare more the day of?
It depends because I got a kid. I'm dropping his ass off at school, and sometimes
you can.
Exactly. A lot of times I'll memorize in the makeup trailer.
Really?
Yeah.
Right before, like an hour before?
Right before,
wow,
yeah. Oh, not an hour. No. Like minutes.
No way.
Yeah. But that's just because,
You've been
for
doing
me.
it for so long,
Yeah. There's it's episodic television, and we know the rules.
You must know what they're going to say next anyways.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then, so, as I said, luckily I'll have enough time to get the lines under my belt. And then there'll be just some kind of fun energy on set with me and my co-star, or with some of these really great guest stars we have. Yeah, so it's luckily, I don't have to put too much attention into memorization.
You've practiced the reps enough.
Yeah, it truly is like a muscle, and I feel grateful.
Have you ever had a moment in a movie or a show or on stage where you just literally blanked, or you couldn't get the line down and you had to do it over and over?
Yeah,
for
man.
like an hour, and you were just like,
awful.
What is that? What's that like?
It helps when you, because it hasn't happened in a minute, but those were the times when I was overly concerned with getting it right. I have to memorize it all.
Looking
if
perfect.
I don't, I'll look awful, and then I'll feel awful. All that anxiety is, I think, what caused me to have those moments where I would blank, and then it's like going down the rabbit hole. There's the fear of, it literally is like this, because you can think of a million things while you're on stage. So I'll be giving a monologue or in the middle of a scene, and then I'll have the seedling of a thought. Oh my goodness, how crazy would it be if I forgot this next part? Wait, you have this next part memorized, right? Wait, do you have it? Is it the next part? What's this next part? Oh fuck, what's it? And then you're offline, and if you can't, and now see, when you really know what you're doing, and you're kind of in the moment, something really great can happen, and you can improvise and get a great laugh, or notice something on stage that prompts you to get back on track. But if you're inside your own head freaking out, there's no room for anything special to happen except fear, and it's fucked up. It's just awful. So what? The couple of times I had repeated myself and got back on track. Other times I just walked off stage.
Really?
I forgot the line and would just walk off stage.
On a live play.
Yes. Wow. And then you're with other professionals, so they keep going.
They make it up.
Or just say something that didn't make any sense.
But the audience maybe doesn't know all the time, right?
Yeah. And then there were times where I was just laughing at myself where I forgot the words of a song, and it was like, skidoo-doo-doo-doo, yada-da.
No way.
Yeah, and then we're all just laughing on stage. The less you care, I think the better off.
Oh, my goodness.
Because then the audience can laugh at you instead of feel sorry for you, because that's what you don't want.
Yeah, that's the worst.
You don't want everybody going, and I've been in both places in the audience.
You've
and,
watched it.
Oh yes.
And it hurts you.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable.
Yeah, no. But if you get somebody that forgets it and they say, goes up, they're like, I just forgot what I was about. Then everybody can laugh with you. What's the next line? I'm sorry, guy. Something like that. And then it just, what does it do? It makes you realize that we're all human, and that it's not about performance. It's just about living and energy, and it's more about that.
Yeah,
I think you know what I mean.
What's the quickest way for you to get in the zone, in the ultimate flow?
Being present. Thinking outside yourself. You know what I mean? Listening. All these are really, really good tricks for acting. Just getting outside of yourself. I was very much the opposite of like control of myself. Literally, my technique was, if I can be in complete control of who I am, then nothing can fuck with me. You know what I mean? But it was the opposite. If you kind of allow yourself to lose control and just be informed by what's being thrown at you, that's when the real shit happens for me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's something you've done that you're really proud of that maybe not a lot of people know about?
Man, I'm really proud of my son. Just he's between me and his mom. And obviously people know that I have a child, but they don't know what I feel and how I grew up and what I had to deal with and kind of working against that and using the strength that I've gained from kind of the uphill battle that I've had to deal with, seeing him, seeing all of my struggles kind of manifest in him, my kind of making the right choices with him and allowing him to be who he is. That just really, it's miraculous.
Yeah.
Just the way life is and how he's his own person, but then I can see his mother's influence and my influence, his nana, it's just amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What are the top 2 lessons that you really want him to learn and know as a young boy growing into a man? If you could only, let's say you can only teach him 2 main lessons of like everything that you've known and that you wish he could become, what would that be?
Believe in himself and believe in others. Those 2, what I mean? Kind of equally. Yeah. Just both.
Yeah.
Kind of in that yin and the yang.
Sure.
Yeah.
What was it like kind of growing up in the ranks, early career for you with another actor, and being in an intimate relationship and then getting married, and you guys both have your own careers, both doing successfully in your own ways. How does that work? And how do you make it work? Obviously you guys were together for a long time, but how were you able to make it work and grow so there was a lot of love but not competition and too much ego because you're both doing big things?
You know what? Now that we're split, I don't know. I thought that we did a good job of it, but now I'm wondering if maybe we weren't as honest with each other as we could have / should have been, and that kind of lent itself to our splitting up. Adina did a great job of never making me feel like she was competing. She never made me feel like she was jealous, because for a good portion of the relationship, I was a little bit more
The limelight.
No, exactly.
Yes.
She's always been, I think, more talented. The gift that she has.
She's done more Broadway. You've done more.
Not necessarily.
She was on Glee for a while too.
She
right?
was on Glee.
She was a great role there.
I've kind
I'm a
of
big
been
Glee fan, so that's why.
Oh, for real?
Oh, huge.
Oh
Glee fan.
yeah. She's.
It was
no
like
joke.
my show there.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was like, I could do a bunch of things fairly well, and she was like nobody. There's nobody on this earth that sings like her.
Yeah.
I can't say that about myself. I mean, there's
Right.
someone who can dance better. There's someone who can act. There's a better looking dude. There's
Right.
someone can sing better. But for her, she has something that is just God given that you can't deny.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it took her a minute. It took her a minute, or it took the world a minute to kind of figure that out. But I don't think it's a mistake that she really came into her own after we split. I don't think that.
It was after you split when she kind of. Really?
Yeah. She's tearing shit up right now. Tearing it up.
Do you feel like she maybe held herself back because she wanted you to shine? Or?
Possibly. I don't know. Because, she's. I don't remember there ever being a sense of competition. Whenever I was on a movie set, she was always there visiting.
Oh, that's nice.
I know that I was giving as much as I could to her and always trying to tell her that she was definitely going to make it and to never lose hope. Because she's very, very talented, so she would go back and forth. She'd do something on stage and then she'd go and she'd do something, like Glee or a movie or some kind of a television program and then go back to stage but she's wanted it, she's wanted it, and now she has it. So I'm very, very, very happy for her.
That's great. What advice would you give to maybe two young professionals who are both very driven, who both want to be successful and want to be kind of in the limelight of their career, not necessarily acting, but they want to be at the top of their business game or whatever industry they're in? What advice would you give to them, being together to make sure that they're both, I don't know, feeling loved, feeling accepted?
You mean people that are in a relationship?
Yeah, in an intimate relationship, whether they're married or not, or they're just together. What advice would you give to two young, driven, successful individuals who want to grow together?
Ask themselves if they really want to be together, and if they do, that has to be first, whatever that means. Like there's some people you have to decide to be together, to want to be together first, and then from there you set up the ground rules, which is only be away for 2 weeks or whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
But it only works if you have the other person in mind. And if you have the other person in mind because you want, it's a choice. If you feel like, I have to do this because I have to. There are those times,
right?
But that's not early in the relationship.
Right.
Early in the relationship, you should want to, I think, be in the relationship.
Yeah.
But that's just me. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to take a job that was so far away.
Right.
Or sometimes maybe I did, and maybe those are the moments where, where the little cracks start. But it's got to start with the two people deciding we want to be together. This is going to be tough, and we're going to get through it. Because that's the thing.
No matter what, we're going to get
through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the thing. Because shit's going to go down. Shit's going to happen. Jobs are going to come. Other people are going to, try to come in between you. Their egos. But if you decide, okay, let's decide that we're going to come out on the other end, then you're cool.
Yeah.
But it's tough because you're young. You're young, and you think you know one thing when you're at a certain age, and then you think you change. It's a trip.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Final few questions for you. I feel like I could wrap all day with you.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff.
I want to respect your time. What are you most grateful for in your life recently?
Of course, my son. My relationship with this is like what I do. I'm grateful. That's the one thing that you're going back to that question every day. Grateful to be alive and to have a working relationship with, my mother, my son's mother. Because that could be so.
It could be messy.
And I'm so sensitive. It could really. And I'm already, even with stuff is great, I feel sorry for myself. Even when we're getting along and she'll come and get Walker, I miss my son. But it could be really tough. And I see people around me that are struggling with how much time they get to spend with their kid. And so I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful that Adina's doing well. Yeah. That type of stuff.
That's cool.
Being grateful.
That's cool. This is called the 3 truths question.
Okay.
This is what I ask everyone at the very end.
Okay.
And Taye has not been debriefed on this, so this will be off the
Right.
cuff.
I'll start off by saying people say I'm a little above average. Most.
Exactly. So this is called the 3 truths.
Okay.
And let's say it's many years from now.
Okay.
And everything you've ever created has been erased from time. All the books you've written, the movies, videos are all gone. So no one has any record of your information that you've given back to the world or your creations. And
this is good.
And it's your last day, and everyone there you care about is there. And it's peaceful. It's a celebration, but it's your last day. Many, many years from now.
Yeah.
And your great whoever, grandson, grandchild, daughter, gives you a piece of paper and a pen and says, can you write down your 3 truths, the 3 things that you know to be true from everything you've learned in your life that you'd want the rest of us to know? 3 truths about life. What would those 3 things be?
Ooh. Oh, man. Okay. Let me simplify.
Again, off the cuff.
Yes. Well, love. That's a truth right there. Forgiveness. That is something that is real. Laughter. Those are the 3 for me. Yeah. See, like right now, my head I'm struggling with myself because I want to be even more specific, but then there's the other side that says just relax, and just those are the 3 things that came to me. Don't worry about how smart I seem,
right.
or
right,
people.
right.
Exactly.
So
just keep
love,
it with that.
Forgiveness.
And laughter.
Love, forgiveness, laughter.
Yeah.
That's a pretty great life right
All
there.
right.
That's a great life, man. I like those truths.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
We've got one final question.
Okay.
Before I ask that, I want to make sure we let people know about your book. You've got a couple books.
Yeah.
Right? You got 2 books. One's called Chocolate Me. Is that what it's
Chocolate
called?
Me, right.
And another one's called Mixed Me.
Mixed Me, yeah.
And why did you write these books, and who are they for?
They're for everyone. Specifically, if I need to be specific, young people that are kind of struggling with their own identity and self-worth and self-esteem. Growing up, for a portion of my life, I was the only little chocolate dude in this neighborhood.
In New York, right?
In upstate New York, yeah.
Upstate. So it wasn't like you were in the Queens or something.
No. This was upstate New York, very white.
Right.
There was one other little dude named Reggie. And we were the only 2 like dark spots in the hood in this white neighborhood, and I was made to feel less than and different. So I wrote a book based on my experience of this little boy that gets made fun of, and then he grows to realize that he is special even though he's different, and that chocolate. Obviously is the symbolism for being black, and that it's sweet and delicious and tasty, and it's positive instead of negative.
Yeah.
And then Mixed Me is kind of based on my son and all of my biracial and mixed heritage friends. Them dealing with having to choose and kind of not knowing which side of the line to stand on, and who they identify with. And the ending message of that is you are who you are. Just love yourself and demand that other people love you as well.
Yeah.
And to not have to choose.
Yeah.
To just be who you are.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, man.
And the website for that is iammixedme.com.
Thank you, sir.
For that book, and you've got gear, you've got some of the,
yeah.
you got the hat right there.
Yeah.
We'll have all this linked up on the show notes, but make sure to go to iammixedme.com to learn more about that. Where can people connect with you most? I know you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, Facebook. Where do you hang out?
I'm trying. I'm so awful at all that stuff. But those whatever those
3
things are, yeah. I'm always trying to get new content. I need to be reminded, but I'm getting better.
That's
getting
cool.
Better at
We'll
it.
have them all linked up, but
thanks, man.
Check out those 3: the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Sure.
Okay, final 2 questions.
Sure.
One of them is if you had a word that you had to put on your forehead in reverse so that when you walked in the mirror and only you could read the word or a phrase.
Okay.
That's just you had to Mike Tyson yourself, put a tattoo on your face, and it was a word or a phrase that you had to look at. Every time you looked in the mirror, you saw this phrase. What would that be?
Grateful. Grateful, yeah, just to remind myself. Because it kind of works. No matter what's going on, it can. If you really buy into it, it can switch everything up.
Hard to be angry and grateful at the same time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you really buy, and that's the hard thing, is really buying into it, like really. But if you can take your time to really kind of dig yourself out of that hole and think of all the stuff you do have, it can switch it up.
That's great. That's great. Well, before I ask the final question, I want to acknowledge you for a moment, Taye,
Sir.
for your incredible inspiration.
Oh, thanks, man.
For you constantly jumping out of your comfort zone with all the different roles you played that have inspired people all over the world. I mean, you represent a symbol every time you step into a role, and you allow people to see what's possible for themselves.
Thank you,
and
man.
your ability, and your ability to constantly show up and have like a great heart. I mean, I've only known you for literally an hour, and the 2 times I met you briefly, but your energy, your spirit, your heart, you're so wise, and that you're also wise that you don't know it all.
Yeah.
And so your humility and I just appreciate all of it. So I want to acknowledge
thank you, sir.
For
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
I really do.
Of course.
Thank you. I'll take that. I'll accept that.
Yeah. And the final question is, what's your definition of greatness?
Greatness. My definition of greatness is being who you are, genuinely, whatever that is. I think that's great, whatever that is, whatever that means.
There you go. Taye Diggs, the man. Thanks for coming on, brother.
My man.
Appreciate
Absolute.
it. Appreciate it.
All right.
Hey guys, Lewis Howes here, and thanks so much for checking out this video and this interview. I hope you loved it. If you did, make sure to leave a comment below and share this with your friends. Also, I've got a huge announcement. The Summit of Greatness is coming very soon. If you love the School of Greatness podcast, if you love these interviews and you want more, you want to connect with some of these speakers in person, you want to connect with me and other people just like you who watch and listen to these interviews, then make sure to sign up for the Summit of Greatness. Go to summitofgreatness.com to learn more. You can check out more about the video that we created for the summit. There's a link in the description below as well. It's summitofgreatness.com. Check it out right now. I hope to see you there. And again, thanks so much for watching this video.